even with the competition with FIFA out there. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the June 15th regular meeting of Council. The City of Parksville recognizes the people of the Coast Salish Nations and their traditional territory upon which we gather with gratitude. Before we begin this afternoon, I wish to recognize the city's impacts of color. Further recommendations. Councillor Gore, moved by. Thank you. Yep. Got you. Councillor Grants came in. Thank you. Volunteers and provide an overview of what the event organizers hope to accomplish for the Parksville Car and Bike Show. Looking forward to hearing what you have to discuss. Ron, come on up to the microphone, sir. You're first. Wow. I know. Little button on the front of it there, Ron. Okay. Yeah, the little microphone button. If you push that, you're good to go.
Well,
welcome, Ron. And
well,
thank you for taking your time to appear.
Well, thank you very much, Mayor O'Brien and Council. We're here for just and thank the city for okay, well, there we go. I'd just like to, we came up with this mission statement, and I'd like to read it to you because it kind of, it's what really drives us. So the Parksville Car and Bike Show is powered by volunteers and community spirit. The Parksville Car and Bike Show celebrates Vancouver Island's car culture with a fun, safe, and well-organized annual event that brings energy to the Parksville summer and builds lasting relationships with everyone that helps bring it to life. So that's basically what really drives us. This event is it's about community rather than really the cars itself. Of course, the cars draw everybody's attention, but it's really the people and the community connections, the partnerships, and a fun summer experience for residents of Parksville as well as all the visitors. So that's kind of where we started from. A little history about the show, and I'm going to try to do this again. Whoops. I'll get it right just by the end of it. So I brought a little poster with me. This is from 2004. And the show actually started back in 1990. with a few cars, and then they grew it into something crazy. So in 2004, if you can imagine this, there was 1,000 cars in the community park. So if I would give this to Candace today, I think she'd throw me out of her office, honestly. They didn't have pre-registration. They didn't have anything. They had cars show up that day, pay their $15, and I'm sure they would have been lined up from the community park all the way to the news bay. 1,000 cars, unbelievable. We're gonna have 200, maybe 250, something like that, but this is amazing. But that's really what is driving this whole thing about bringing this car show back. So the Ocean Idlers took that on to about 2000, I want to say 6, 7, and then it just got way out of control and they got burnt out. Then the Shriners took it over, if you remember that. They called the Van Isle Car Show, and COVID happened. So the Shriners got a little burnt out as well. COVID happened and we couldn't have any shows. So in 2004, 24, Shriners sent out a letter, weren't going to do the show anymore. So I noticed that. We got some of our volunteers together, went to the Ocean Idlers. They already do a car show in Coombs, and we decided that we would take it on. We did it in 24, huge success, and we did that at the park. And then in 25, we couldn't do it because of the construction of the new Sandcastle complex. And so the field was all under construction. So thank you. In October of 25, we came back, had a meeting with the city, and did a template for an annual car show on the beach. And really, that's how it all got started. So with me today, I have a few of our volunteers, and I'd just like to introduce them to you. Chris Hoff, Brian Fauso, and Todd Costello is right behind me here. Thanks, guys. Also, we have Ken Lehman, Ron Mankey, Teresa Christensen, and Rick Long. There's 8 of us that are in the main organizing group. We're just having fun with this, actually. I'd also like to recognize some of our key community partners. Most of you probably know Jennifer Bate at the MAC, and she has been amazing to work with, has done a lot of, they did all of our registrations and all that kind of stuff. So that, along with some of us know Teresa Cooper right behind me, with the Downtown Business Association. Between Jennifer and Teresa, the two of them are unstoppable, and they have given us so many ideas and support. It's absolutely amazing. So, like I said, we've contributed hundreds of hours in organizing this, fundraising, marketing, recruiting volunteers, working with the sponsors, and coordinating with Candace. And matter of fact, Candace has been awesome. All of the city staff that we've dealt with have just offered a lot of good suggestions and just supported us immensely. So thank you very much for that. The 2006 event, we're proud to tell you that it's sold out. So our registrations went like crazy. We sold 200 spots, and there probably will be another 50. We'll see how much space we have, but that just tells you that the car community in this area is really wanting this event. Yeah. So, this is a free community event. Oh, actually, sorry. I should have done this. That's our new poster. So it's a free to the public event. And that's important to us. We want to make sure that this is really truly a community supported event. And participants are coming from all over Vancouver Island. So we have 50 cars coming from Victoria alone, the lower mainland, and you name it. I think there's even people coming from Prince George, if you can imagine. One of the things that makes this event unique is that we don't judge cars. It's a way more relaxed atmosphere than your typical car show where everybody's concerned about making sure that they impress the judges. It's simply a gathering of people who love vehicles and want to share them with the public. We wanted to create that kind of an experience for people. And then, in fact, we've actually got 3 things happening on that weekend. The Pharaohs are a car club on Vancouver Island, and they're doing a little show and shine at the Canadian Tire on the Friday night. And then Teresa Cooper is organizing Greet and Meet at the Memorial Plaza on the Saturday from 5 to 7. And then, of course, the big shows on the Sunday. So, and in the show, Jennifer and the Apollos are going to be there for some live music. Of course, the Shriners are back, and they're going to do what they do the best and make us pancake breakfast and a lunch for everybody. So you'll be able to get a real deal on something to eat. You know, the community support has been amazing. The local businesses have stepped up. We have a budget of about $10,000 to run the show. The amount of money that we collect from the cars is in the neighborhood of $3,000, and the rest comes in from sponsorship and corporate involvement. So we've had a great support from them. We continue to have volunteers. There'll be about 30 volunteers on the site that day. Community organizations have joined in with us. People are generally really excited about seeing the show return, I have to tell you. And again, thank you. I believe that the event offers some benefits to Parksville. It attracts visitors to the community. It attracts a bunch of cars to the community. It encourages them to overnight stay and supports local restaurants, shops, and that kind of thing. So, and it showcases our beautiful waterfront community park and everything that Parksville has to offer. Importantly, it gives residents another opportunity to come together and celebrate what makes Parksville special. So thank you on behalf of the entire organizing group. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Thanks to the staff and Candace and everybody that's helped us put this all together. That's the Parksville Car Show.
Thanks very much, Ron, and thank you so much for your participation in this, as well as your volunteers that you brought. Nice to meet you all. And we truly appreciate the fact that not only is this an economic driver, it's also a community builder. And that's really important to us here in Parksville, because that's what Parksville is all about. Right. It thrills me to no end to see multi-generational viewing down at the car shows and so forth. And this one at Parksville is particularly special because the venue, and it's on the grass, and nothing like us car guys like more than having our vehicles actually on the grass at Parksville, because it's the absolutely best venue. But to see the kids going by with the grandparents and stuff like that, and they're, of course, the grandparents are pointing out all the features of the cars that were created long before these kids were even born, yeah. Is a great experience. And so it's a great family event. And it is. I am totally appreciative for that as well. Ron, welcome back to Parksville. Thanks for reviving the show and bringing it back to Parksville. It's, I remember you had a poster there when Dennis Gage was here, from the car guy. Anyways, yeah. I was at the car show.
Where you were?
I was viewing. I wasn't participating.
Yeah,
I am. I already have my ticket. I'll be there with my little red car. But in the meantime, thank you so much. I'm going to leave the floor open to council for any comments or questions they have at this time. Thanks, Ron. Just hang there for a minute. Councillor Gore, go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Thank you through the mayor. Thank you, Ron. And I know we've been conversing since I think a couple of years back when you wanted to come back for the car show. So I much appreciate it. And I think like you and the mayor mentioned, it's a great community building event. Other than the in-kind support that staff has provided in making this happen, is there any other ask of this council at this time?
well. Okay, how much more time do we have?
No, time.
You know, that's an awesome question, and we're gonna build something this year. We're gonna see how it goes. And I think we'd like to get, we don't have, if you look on our poster, we don't have the City of Parksville on there. And there's a possibility that we could come back this fall and have another chat with you about maybe getting a little bit more involved with the show. We don't need anything at this point right now. We've been given a lot of help with all of the staff that you already have. I would want to point out though that we're going to be at Stanford and Trillium. The Father's Day weekend, the car show is coming up, and all of us are also involved in another car show, and we do go out to the seniors' homes. That's happening on Wednesday of this week. And again, we do 4 of them actually, so.
Yes.
Go ahead, follow up. Go ahead.
Yes, just thank you. And I'll see you at Stanford. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, sounds good.
Yeah,
Anybody else?
Yeah, hang tough. We still got more
Okay.
questions. You don't get to leave yet. And regarding like Councillor Gore was talking about, possible like this is going to be an annual event. And so there's a time in the financial packages anyways that the future council will be anyways. They entertain groups that have annual events looking for whether sponsorship or in-kind donations or
Yeah.
whatever. So there's a specific time that you make sure you find out from our staff anyways when that would be. And then the new council will have that on the list of the different community organizations that are seeking help from the City of Parksville. So
Okay.
you make sure you want to have that on your calendar for 2027.
Yeah.
Just something to keep in mind.
Okay.
Councillor Fries, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Through the mayor to Ron. Just want to extend a big thanks to your volunteers as well and to the businesses in the community that support through the sponsorship. I know a lot of work goes into these events and they don't happen without the volunteers behind there. And it's been a struggle over the years we've seen with many different events losing volunteers and so on. So just a big thanks to them. I think it's wonderful what you're doing and it helps support the reputation of Parksville as a fun, family friendly destination to come to. So it's wonderful. I like that your focus isn't just on the judging of the cars too, that it's just focused on enjoyment for people to come down and have a good time. So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to it.
And what more beautiful venue, right?
Love it.
So I am thinking that we could have a fire truck.
So yeah, sorry, I didn't hear that.
Oh, maybe we could get a fire truck down there for the kids.
They don't let me drive the fire trucks anymore. And there's a bad story about that, but I won't go there. I'm off excavators too. I don't know why.
Mayor, that is something they could pose to the fire chief though too on a Sunday. It depends. You have to talk to the chief. He'd be the one to.
Okay, I'll talk to the chief.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Councillor Martin, go ahead.
Thank you, Rod. It sounds like a fun thing. I've lived in Victoria way back. And my husband and I used to always go to the car shows there. And I was sorry to see that was coming and going in Parksville. And so this will be a great family event. And
Okay.
we'll look forward to that. And
Yeah.
all ages, which is really good.
Yeah.
Like I have a family visiting, they're car buffs, and they'll be there for sure.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah. It's the kind of thing that's very good for Parksville. So
Yeah.
thank you very much. And all the volunteers. And I was going to point out that I think Parksville is one of the a huge volunteer in all the different areas that I deal with here. It's hard to believe how many volunteers we have. It's a wonderful organization of volunteers here.
It's a
And you've
great
got the
community,
volunteers.
isn't it?
It is. It's
Yep.
in that area. Yeah,
Yep,
very good. Thank you.
it's awesome.
Anybody else, council? Okay. Okay, Councilor Beal, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I'd just like to briefly add my thanks as well. Anything that brings community together in a positive way down and to celebrate the beautiful nature that we have out in the park is worthwhile, I think. And as Councillor Martin, others said, you know, to support volunteerism and volunteerism, I think is really important. So well done. I hope it's a great success. I might be able to make it, and I can think of a few out of town friends who might want to be coming as well. So well
Oh,
done.
that'd be awesome. Okay,
Yeah, and then, yeah, thanks very much. The volunteer benefit as well as the community and economic benefit.
Yeah.
It plays a big role in our community because we are a very tight community. I
Yeah.
can tell you, just like as that mayor that likes to shop local, OK Tire benefited from my brand new brake job that just went on today. So yes, anyways, and so that's local here type of thing. So upgrading my old car type of thing. So it's always like deal with the local people here and they do an amazing job. So I'm just saying that it creates a lot of economic activity from our businesses in our area as well. And that's jobs. And I appreciate that because people have good jobs in this community. So thank you for that. Any further questions at this time or comments? Ron?
thank you so much
you
for
for your
your
time.
kind comments. We sure appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Thanks very much for coming to the volunteers. We appreciate that. You can stick around for the rest of the exhilarating meeting if you like, or otherwise you're free to leave.
I think we'll be graciously bowing.
Yeah, I'm kind of jealous. Thanks, guys. The next delegation we have is from 09-32024 BC Limited and AR Architecture Incorporated regarding the zoning amendment application at 386 Hearst Avenue West. We have 10-minute presentation. I believe, are we coming online or are we? There we are. Okay. Good afternoon, and if you could introduce yourself, we can see you and you can do your sound check at the same time. We can make sure we can hear you. Go ahead, sir.
Hello, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Hopefully. So I'm Atta from representing AR Architecture. Here with me, Dustin Lemeru, the owner of the property. And we probably gonna do like a presentation. And I'll let Dustin to share a few words before we take it over.
We can hear you loud and clear. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Hi there. I'm just waiting for, I believe the host has just unmuted me now. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep. We're
Okay. And I'll start. The video has just been off blocked. There we are.
okay. Here we
Okay.
go.
I'm part of this. Okay. Hello, everybody. We are back from an original submission that we originally submitted in March 2024 for this property, to jog your memories. So at that time, I'll just spend just a quick minute as a recap to bring you up to where we are now. So we had originally submitted in March 24, but put a lot of thought and effort into the original submission on something that we very strongly worked with city planning staff to put forward and ensuring that we followed OCP guidelines, limited variances required, et cetera. We did receive full staff support the entire time for engineering support, fire department support, so on and so forth. We went to the community and did receive input from a variety of sources, some in support, some in opposition. When we held our community engagement meeting, there were 5 parties that showed up in support, 2 that showed up in opposition. And as I understand, there were a couple letters sent directly to council in opposition as well, from our previous submission. So we have put a lot of great thought and care into addressing the opposition, most of which was the general size of the project that we had proposed, despite, again, being supported from staff, engineering, and OCP. There was that general feel. When it was ultimately declined by council, we didn't really get clear objections as to specifically why. The general feel, sort of in quote, was more that it felt big for the area. And that was essentially what we were left with as the guiding force as to what we needed to come back to council with, something that did not feel as big, I believe. So in that, fast forward today, Atar and I have put a lot of great care, again, been very actively involved with city staff to ensure that we put something forward that, again, has full support from the usual sources, staff and so on, but also sort of addresses that feels too big. It's something that, we can remain some version of economically viable to put forth and, address providing rental units for the city, but again, lowering the overall density. So in doing so, we've redesigned the building, knocked off an entire floor of this building. So it really is now a 3-story building, of which primarily the first floor is just lobby and parking. So virtually almost just 2 stories of actual residences. Again, have worked through, got full support from the city along the way, and are happy to present this one to you, which Atar will give you the rundown on the design features. So we'll hope you'll give it the consideration and support it deserves. And I will pass it over to Atar to give you the design details of this new proposal.
Thank you, Dustin. Okay. We'll try to be as brief as possible and try to point out the improvement and the changes that we did along the way of revising and presenting this project in front of everyone. So basically, the revised application is a result of a direct mitigation of the council concern and the public concern as well. From the original proposal, the project effectively scaled down from a 4-story building, which was like 12 unit, to a 3-story, which is basically, as Dustin mentioned, it's basically a lobby and amenity spaces, utility spaces on the ground floor, and parking, to a 9-story building to adapt to public feedback as well. It's also worth to mention, in addition to the mitigation measures, the location of this property at the intersection, as you know, and from urban design principles, it makes it ideal candidate for a type of gentle density increase. A core principle of the sound urban design is to anchor a street corner with a slightly taller, more prominent building, and this helps in checking into objectives. One of them is, by keeping the density focus at the intersection, we create a slightly strong visual landmark for the neighborhood while allowing the height to step down gracefully towards the mid-block single family, which is fundamental concept of gentle density and block permeability. However, along Hearst Avenue and Molière, it appears inconsistent with this concept, but it's still this application is still viable. And the second item is, it also helps with the shadow impact. So the shadow over the wide public intersection is more desirable and respectful, rather than having the shadow casting over the adjacent private backyards. Brief revisiting the site layout here. So, which still proves the alignment of the site layout with the OCP objective. The site still offers convenient vehicle access and exit points, promoting one-way traffic flow, and with primary pedestrian entrance located on Hearst Avenue. The parking layout is also benefited from reduced parking requirement due to low density that allow us to have more usable space on the ground floor. The majority of the parking stalls will be beneath the building again and tucked away by intensive landscape buffer. In addition, we are providing one residential unit on the ground floor as an accessible unit. Again, we're still maintaining the similar strong concept of landscaping and street frontage. implementing a clear, attractive borders using metal picket and planting along both Hearst Avenue and Molyneux Street to ensure the property is inviting and not distinctly separated from the public right away but distinctively separated from the public sidewalk or public spaces by an intensive landscape and greenery. While we also like to highlight our collaboration with all the stakeholders involved with the project and decision makers to address any crucial operation concern from safety perspective, our original application featured a single exit or SES concept to maximize floor efficiency that allows under BC Building Code. However, in direct response to comments from the building or Parksville Fire Department, our proposed application now applying to exit stairs, sacrificing floor efficiency to ensure that we are fully addressing fire department concerns and operational concerns to provide the level of safety for the residents during emergency incidents. And this is a corner vehicle entrance at the southwest of the property, adjacent to the residential lot to the south, showing the reduction in building height that very compatible to the neighboring or adjacent neighbors. And here's a brief demonstration of 3-story and 4-story multifamily buildings that are deeply established within this immediate walkable radius. Our revised 3-story proposal is highly consistent with the existing fabric with this community and fully complies with the OCP and objectives of the bylaws. While we also respect the privacy and the site contextual setting with immediate neighbors, we revised our proposal to respect those elements and having a minimal impact, which is always comparable to a size of a 3-story duplex or townhouse typologies. And the application aims to allow transformation of this corner property into a safe, appropriate scale and a beautification of the landscape to fulfill the city's housing goals and improves the current state of the intersection. However, we believe this 3-story strikes the perfect balance here, and the urban design goals and anchoring that corner, honoring all the feedback and to reduce the overall scale and addressing related concerns of the building mass. And by that, I'd say thank you for your time and your previous feedback and your consideration of our previous and revised proposal. And we are happy to answer any question you might have.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I appreciate the graphics and the better design illustrations that you presented today. It was very effective, I have to say, to give us a more clear picture of what you're proposing. So thank you so much. I'll open the floor for comments or questions for council. Anybody want to comment on this? Councillor Gore, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, through you to the delegation. Thank you for taking the time to revise the proposal. Definitely, the height of the building was an issue that were raised by a lot of neighbors. This council received opposition to this proposal, affecting people's privacy. So I appreciate you taking the time to revising your proposal here. I know you mentioned the neighboring RS1 properties, the single family properties, and you talked about privacy. The application, however, asks for variances in the setbacks from 6 meters to 4.5. Are you willing to increase those setbacks to what is required in the bylaw? So that gives that additional buffer for the privacy of those properties?
So the reasoning behind the variances of the setbacks to allow like a proper unit sizing, so it's not like cramped into like a very small units that barely usable. We are also trying to find ways to make the floor efficiencies more livable and habitable instead of like squeezing the building to, I mean, allow for application to apply with the align with the bylaw application, but also like not efficiently design the building.
Follow up, go ahead, Councillor Gordon.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. And I think that goes back to the opposition from the council and the community on this. Because I believed personally that for the size of the lot, that may be too much of too many units are being proposed. It feels like overwhelming for that part of the block. So as asked previously, and maybe you can refresh my memory on this, but the economic viability, I know you want to go for these many units, but what about looking for a fourplex in there? We do have a lot of rental units that have come online recently and some are getting built. So wondering something, ground-oriented developments, a fourplex could nicely fit into the neighborhood.
I can comment on that briefly there, Councillor Gur. Thanks for the feedback, and I understand that would most likely be your position. You have been very clear about your desires for this property right off the outset. So I do thank you for that, because at the very least we did know where you stood. We put a reasonable amount of weight in the OCP in terms of defining not just what one council member or what one individual or one neighbor wants, but as the city as a whole, from staff to engineering to the community to council and all stakeholders involved. And, it's been reasonably clear that this particular area is designed for medium density. And, we acquired this property with that understanding. And I think that move to medium density is inevitable for this area, with the OCP clearly defining that as the goal. So for us to want to proceed with a fourplex which was undoubtedly be not economically viable, and undoubtedly an absolute loss, which is the driver to have more units provided. There's going to be very limited that can be done at a loss. I think it would be a non-starter and better left as a vacant property than to do so. In all honesty, I think we've, again, been very careful to try and understand what the goal is of this particular area, and discuss with staff the entire time, planning departments, and try and get a good gauge of what the expectations are. And medium density, particularly of this variety, 3-story, 9 units seems very, very viable. Again, I'll go back to the previous design, which also met those OCP guidelines, seemed extremely viable. And I think this is a pretty compelling compromise for us to look at ground oriented and be, 4 years likely in the entire approval and application process. To do so is really not a viable option for us.
Thank you. Councillor Frass, go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Through the mayor to our delegation, I just want to say thank you for coming out here today and showing this revision. I was really interested in seeing when you guys would come back, and I'm quite impressed to see a whole level removed from there, and you guys still bringing forward with this enthusiasm for it. I think it looks great for it. I'm excited to see that ground level accessible unit. I think that's a very smart design. It's very beneficial, and I'm overall impressed with it, and I'd like to see how the community responds to it, because it sounds like the concerns, the height, the overwhelming nature of that corner you guys have addressed. Question I have with you is this area, it does have a bus stop on the corner, and one of the items that we mentioned, I think it was Councillor Beal's suggestion, was if there would be any willingness to help support a covered bus stop in there. And I don't know how staff, I haven't spoken to them about that, or if you guys have mentioned to it, but is that something that you guys have explored or willing to? I know often with those covered bus stops, it requires a little bit of land on that section there by the sidewalk. Would that be something that you guys would be willing to work with on that?
So two parts, and Atar, maybe you can address the actual location of the bus stop, because I believe it was mislabeled on the location on the original city map. So maybe I'll let you start with that, and then I can speak to the contribution side.
Yeah, so I'm probably gonna go back to the size of the typology of the building on this corner as well, to touch base on the benefit of the urban density on this corner, similar to any other corner in any urban fabrics that's been followed throughout the major cities as well. So regarding the bus stop, I think it's further down south from our party. I guess it's mislabeled on the city's map on there.
Okay, yeah.
So-
I mean, if that's the case, if it's mislabeled, my understanding was it was right by that property there, but
Yeah, so it would not be directly in front of the subject property. So in terms of the land use or allowing space for it, obviously, I guess that somewhat addresses that. From the contribution, I've had long chats with staff there, Blandingham, and just a general hesitation. And I don't want to fully come back to this, but from an economic viability standpoint, this one's somewhat on life support to have it designed at this scale, and we have look to cut back and make some savings where possible in there. So, excessive or outside contributions on this redesign, having lost a couple of years in the process again as well. I don't believe we're going to be looking at any outside contributions.
Follow up. Go ahead, Councilor Press.
thank you for that. And just to be clear, this is not me asking for some kind of contributions there. I just thought of it as an opportunity. I know covered bus stops is something I think the community can use some more of, and it often requires that that cooperation and for the, like I mentioned, for the land there. So I guess disregard that if it's not the correct location for it. That's my misunderstanding then. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Another, Councilor Martin, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This building, the way it looks now without the roof, with the roof being improved, that other than the stories, it really makes a big difference. I mean, it was quite towering before. I think you've done a lovely job of presenting it. Will there be another time that the community will be look at this again? Is there another time? Yes. Okay. Because I think you've made a really nice presentation, and we'll see what the community thinks of it. But thank you very much.
Yeah. First time speakers. Go ahead, Councilor Beal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And yes, I'd like to thank you for going back to the drawing board. And even if it wasn't completely blank the second time around, and having made those revisions, I think it's certainly an improvement, and the scale could fit much better with in the area. And I do understand that there are other 3-story buildings along there, and that it is kind of fit with what that whole neighborhood is going to. So as to echo Councillor Fraz's comments, I agree with everything he had to say there. I also really do appreciate that with that reduction of overall units and the reduction of the parking area, that allowed for you to put a more accessible unit on the ground floor. And I think that does more than place that unit there, but it also makes for other having a dwelling on the ground floor and near the parking area should allow for more eyes on the neighborhood, more of a connection at that level. So I think that it also will be much nicer for those surrounding properties. And one question or comment I have is that particularly regarding the single-family dwelling on Molliette Street right nearby, I understand that they would want to have some privacy there. And it's really impressive what trees can be built. I'm thinking about, I've seen some up on Despard right near some apartment buildings there. And within the last, I don't know, 5 to 10 years, those have grown up immensely, providing some screening for the summer months in particular, and then letting more light through in the winter. And I think that that will be a benefit both to the neighbors, but also to the people living in the apartment buildings if it goes ahead, because that would be the south side and that would provide a little bit of shade. So all to say that I think that careful consideration of appropriate landscaping that can fit, and also as Councillor Gore mentioned, with the if this goes ahead, then with the variance for the setbacks, and that careful consideration of landscaping that can fit within that smaller area without causing problems for any infrastructure, and yet provide some valuable screening both for cooling as well as privacy will be really important. So I hope that that will be something that you will take to your landscaper, the landscaping company that's working with you.
Thank you. No more first-time speakers, so I'll speak to it now. I'm very impressed with going to the three-story version. I think architecturally, it balances better. With your pitched roofs on top, it balances better than the four-story original proposal. This to me looks in keeping, more of a character style residential neighborhood. I appreciate that. I'm a big fan of the accessibility suite that you have on the bottom floor, because I recognize in other locations where that has been provided, we know that that is definitely an asset, and that allows for more accessible suites for many more individuals in our community to roll in and roll out of, which I'm very in favor of. I like your concealed parking. I like the density that you propose for this. I think it's in keeping, and I will be supporting this project moving forward. I'm very much in favor. Thank you. Councillor Beal, let me go first. If there's another second speaker, going to go first. Okay, Councillor Beal.
Thank you. I just had one question. Will there be on this particular site, were there opportunities for some in-ground filtration for water, or does it all have to go directly into storm drain?
I guess this is a question to the civil engineers. Probably not in position to answer this question quite in detail, but probably they're probably going to be like a detention tank on site, not to allow the rainwater running off to the sewer system, not the sewer system, to the storm water system, like directly. But as far as I remember.
You good? Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Gore, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Maybe in the report section, I can address my question about stormwater management to staff. I think it's in the reports. Thank you.
Mr. Russell, can you comment on possible site stormwater management as compared to I noticed in it's right beside water supply, drainage, and sanitary lines. So if you could comment, please, Mr. Russell.
Sure. If I'm now being employed by the engineering department, I'd happily answer your question. As the director of planning, it's not quite as easy, but we do have general policies that talk about pre and post development flows and maintaining, water flow on, to not be a net contributor to water flow. I don't know if I have it quite handy on what there was a preliminary memo done by the civil engineer, but ultimately that sort of stuff will get addressed at the time of building permit, where the detailed design of the services are actually prepared. In this case, the road frontages in the city storm drainage system already exist, so most of it's going to be refinement when the building permit plans come in, that the engineering department will deal with the detailed review.
Right. Let them do their job. Thank you. Any further comments at this point? Saying none. Thank you very much for your presentation. We're moving ahead on our agenda here. You're the first report on the agenda. So that's coming up forthwith here. So thank you once again for taking the time to repropose this very interesting development. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Grens, I just see you. Did you have your hand up at any time? because your video's been on and off. So did you have anything before the delegation is released?
Oh, it's okay. I can ask my question during the report stage. Thank you.
Sure enough. Thank you. Okay. Council, the next report on the agenda is from the Director of Community Planning and Building regarding the zoning amendment application of 386 Hearst Avenue West, which we just heard from the property owners and developer. Do I have a mover or a seconder for the recommendations as noted? And okay, thank you. Moved by Councillor Fraz, seconded by Councillor Martin. Any further discussion? Go ahead, Councillor Grens.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did have I guess, clarification. I did see in the report that there is water detention as part of the proposal. So I did just want to mention that. And I'm pleased to see the staff being able to work with the proponent here to get something that's a little bit more in line, hopefully with what council would like to see here. I recognize that this is a scale back from what the OCP would allow. So I'd also like to thank the proponents for working on that. Ultimately, this is going to be kind of the first building of this height on that side of the street. So setting the stage is important. So thank you everyone for the patience involved.
Thank you, Councillor Grens. Any further comments? All those in favor? Good. Okay. Did you have your hand up? Sorry, you go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Beal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And a question through to our Director of Planning. And I'm sorry, I had some trouble loading that full report, so I'm sorry I don't recall it all now. But two questions. One is that if this in fact goes ahead further, would this also go to the ADP? That's the Advisory Design Panel.
Mayor, if I may, through to Councillor Beal, yes, it would. It's considered a multi-unit residential proposal, so yes.
Thank you. That was my understanding, but I just wanted that clarified for everyone's benefit. And I'll leave the other questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good point, Councillor Beal. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. Councillor Gore, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, through you to staff. In the drainage section, Mr. Russell, it talks about a 219 covenant for stormwater management. I have not previously seen those. Is there a reason why we have a covenant on this property for this?
CEO Taylor, if you may.
Thanks. Just because I don't want to have to pay Blaine to be the Director of Engineering as well. Usually the Section 219 covenants are what we call positive covenants. So it forces somebody to comply with something. And so in this case, it looks like that's exactly what engineering staff is doing, is requiring that for the ongoing maintenance of that infrastructure. So the city would not be responsible for that.
Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. So again, goes back to policy then, having these 219 covenants. And as you know, there's a directive from the RDN to have pre-development level stormwater management. Should it not be a policy of the council to have these covenants? Like I said, I've just seen it on this application. So why one-off covenants and have it like all rezoning applications instead?
I don't think it is a one-off. I think that is
It-
really common.
If I may,
Now-
as the Director of Planning.
Okay.
Um,
Where the Director of Planning will address this. Thank you.
It's part of the servicing agreement. So there already is essentially a legal document between a property owner and the city when they install their works and services. And so where it's determined that, like in this particular case, the civil engineer did a preliminary review and said that in this location, the actual capacity of the land is low to absorb water. Therefore, as part of their recommendations, they're recommending a detention tank to basically, so the flows during a peak storm event don't exceed what the pre-flows are. And so because their engineers identified that based on the site-specific soil conditions, that's why it's reflected in the engineering department's memorandum. And then it would be secured also through this as part of the servicing agreement for the offsite works, that would be a condition of it. The covenant's just sort of an additional thing so that future property owners are aware that it's there to make sure that it gets maintained.
Definitely. Thank you. I like that. Thanks.
Thank you. Any further comments or discussion? All those in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you, council. The next report on the agenda is from the Director of Community Planning and Building regarding the site-specific amendment to business license bylaw at 166 Island Highway East to consider advancement of an application for a retail cannabis store. We have the recommendations in front of us. Councillor, do I have a mover and a seconder for the recommendations as noted? Moved by Councillor Wood, seconded by Councillor Beal. Any further discussion? Did you have your hand up? Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Gore.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, through you to council. I think it's an opportunity to thank the applicant for their perseverance with this application. At the same time, a huge thank you to our staff for working really hard to expedite this application. We had a huge discussion on this previously, not that long ago. We have to follow the rules and regulations and the bylaws that we enact at this table, as outdated as they may be and needing revision. So I truly want to send my thanks to our staff for making this happen in a timely manner. So it has the least amount of impact on the applicant in pursuing this application. Thank you.
Any further comments, council? All those in favor? Thank you. The carries unanimous. The next report on the agenda is from the Manager of Engineering regarding street name changes as described in Resolution 25279 to provide council with estimated scope and costs. Do I have a mover and a seconder for the recommendation? I'll move this one since I was the one, the proponent that pushed seconded by Councillor Gore. Thank you. There's no staff report coming other than what was already on file? Yeah,
Yes.
Councillor, stay okay.
Sorry. Yeah, so staff were not asked to comment on like recommendations for doing this or not doing this. And so we just provided essentially the work plan and the scope, and for council to understand if you move this forward as a priority project, what the workload would look like for that duration of the project. And then some estimated, we were supposed to report back with estimated steps for both property owners affected and city staff departments. So we're not providing any other recommendation of this, just to receive.
Thank you for that, CEO Kaler. Yes, I received a report, a very extensive report regarding the street names, changes and so forth. And I've, in understanding of the process that happens, but the only problem I had with the report was, unlike with the Director of Planning, we have recommendations and we have descriptions, and it usually has benefits and detriments, if you may, in part of the report. I didn't see in part of that report the advantages to a street naming, what that could do for our community. And I think that's important that council understands that it's not just a frivolous request, that is part of the overall vision for traffic calming for our area, which I felt street naming would be beneficial to at that time. So I would hope that the staff can include an addendum to the report as to what the benefits would be possibly by doing this. We already know what the costs are and all the approvals and everything else that we have to do to implement it, but the ramifications of if that was to go through, what it would look like and how it would aid or assist the traffic calming and better for our community. Since the Transportation Master Plan was the driver for this whole thing, which did receive input from our community through the surveys and from the public information meetings that they had, which many people identified the fact that the highway, in particular 19A, is a detriment to active transportation through our city core. So I think it's worthy of consideration of what that impact would be, as well as the cost or the impact to our workload, if that could be included as maybe an addendum to say, I understand further moving forward in upcoming agendas, we may be looking at other traffic calming suggestions that were made that may appear on another agenda. Is that right?
Yeah, if I may, I don't think staff have the in-house expertise to do that, and we weren't really asked to weigh in on the pros or cons of it. That's kind of a political thing based on what you hear from the community. There wasn't a lot of information in the transportation master plan about any of the recommendations, really. There was a lot of recommendations provided and not really lots of analysis for pros or cons of them. So we would probably have to get somebody to help us out with that for our next analysis. Like, I don't know that we have like there'd normally be public consultation on something like that. And in the other communities, I think they had a consultant specifically look at the scope of those things. So we could certainly do that if that's something that council wants to do, but we would need some direction on timelines and either going back to the McElhaney group to get more details or get more information from them on that. I don't know that we have that. We
Yeah.
also didn't want to like weigh in on something that we don't have the expertise about, the pros or the cons. We just are giving the steps to implement.
Yes, I understand. I'm disappointed, but I don't think I want to pursue any further costs anyway. So have someone perhaps just put down on paper what is obviously, in my mind, obvious benefits, but saying that it doesn't appear that there appears to be any acceptance for continuing on with this vision. So I will not pursue this any further. Thank you. I've got a mover and a second or further recommendation already on the floor to receive the report. Any further questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor Gore.
Thank you, Mayor. Perhaps, like you mentioned previously, this was presented to the council before us when you were in council. This idea was presented by, I think, PDBA as well. However, I think times have changed and people's priorities have changed. We are looking at a different group altogether with PDBA. So many pressures financially that the businesses and residents are facing. So things have changed quite a bit. As we see in the report very explicitly, a huge administrative, logistical, and financial burden for the businesses, property owners, and the city, thousands of hours of staff time. I agree with you. I don't think anybody on this council wants to, well, I will speak for myself. I don't think I want to pursue this any further. But I understand, like, this idea was brought forth not necessarily by yourself, but through PDBA previously. So, yeah, not worth pursuing at this time. Thank you.
Sure. Councillor Franz. Go ahead.
Thank you, through the mayor to council. I just want to thank council for taking the time to explore this idea, because I think all ideas are to some degree needing to be explored. And this one has been floated around for quite a while. This report highlights some things to me where I hadn't considered, where sections like out in San Periel, how that part of the highway wouldn't be renamed because it's not part of the municipal boundary. So it doesn't have the continuity through it. I like being able to see how many addresses are actually addressed to it. What are the actual costs implemented with this? So rather than just being ideas in there, we can see the full scope of the work that it requires. You know, if down the line there's more continuity and there's more public support for it, and there's and the vision is brought forward in totality, then this could be another foundation block where things can be revisited. I don't think the time is now to do it. I haven't seen the support out there. I agree with the mayor that there's maybe some missing pieces as far as benefits that aren't being weighed into the whole picture as well. I don't know if the benefits would outweigh the costs myself when I look at a $2 million price tag to it. And just you know, all the work that would be involved in it. It doesn't seem to be the time right now, but I definitely appreciate getting this work done. So big thanks to staff. I know that the time, that the limited amount of time that we have, and being able to put something like this together, it answers a lot of questions. And I think for now, it helps us have some peace of mind of knowing what this kind of project would entail. So thanks to the mayor for bringing it forward, and I think this is where my support for it at this time will end. Thank you.
Any further comments? Go ahead, Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I agree. I think it is the timing and the PDBA. We discussed it and because I'm a liaison, and it's the cost to all the businesses. And at this particular time, that's the timing, right? For the future and cost to the city and the businesses. I also had 2 calls from constituents. They were surprised it was even going on the agenda today. They thought it was over with, and they thought this is a waste of our time and a waste of the city's costs. So that was taxpayers. So there you go. But thank you for bringing it up. And I think with the, I'm making a report on the Downtown Business Association and the things that the strategies that they're doing could tie into it totally with the future. You know, it's a bigger picture. So thank you very much for suggesting it though. Thank you.
Right. And the initial genesis of this whole program was to take the highway out of the downtown core. And with what that implies. And it's more subliminal, if anything, that if you're driving on a highway, you drive at highway speeds. But what was also not addressed in that report was the fact that the Transportation Master Plan did identify that 40% of the traffic that was actually going through actually passed from one end of the city to the other without even stopping. So these are people that aren't paying taxes in our area type of thing that are using our roads as a cut through, so forth, but they're doing it at excessive speeds that are endangering our visitors and as well as our residents, as identified on many reports that we've had in the previous. So this was just the very first steps, the low-hanging fruit, maybe to consider this. Maybe this would help to identify the fact that Parksville could be that proper European village viewpoint by having boulevards instead of highways, bisecting our 2 greatest assets, which is our downtown and our community park. And so it's my attempt to try and fix that vision anyways, to create that more of a village atmosphere. I guess my timing isn't right. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you. Any further comments? Go ahead, Councillor Bill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and huge thanks to, and almost apologies to staff for the amount of time that that has gone into this, when I think that for many of us, you know, after you just get a little bit of information and start to think about it, realize just how much of an expense this would be for individual businesses, for the city, and so on and so forth. But nonetheless, I think information is always valuable. And when you do have a report, this means this information is there and it's searchable. Anybody who wants to look into this in the future can find this information. So I don't think it's without some merit. That being said, I also think that there are other approaches to, if traffic calming is part of what we want to be able to do to slow it down, and maybe in fact, as the mayor suggests that people take a different route rather than cutting through if they're not planning to stop at all. And some of those very concrete suggestions have been made previously in the most recent master transportation plan, but also going back to studies that have been done by Boulevard and others. And a huge role in that is, or a huge factor, I should say, is the fact that 19A used to be a provincial road, and therefore it had different standards. And it has not been the case for years, ever since the Inland Highway was put in. So never mind that it's got the road highway with it. The fact that it is oversized creates a challenge, but it also creates a real opportunity. We've got a lot of space there in an asset that we own. We also have to look after it, which costs money, but it's actually wide enough that there are possibilities to narrow lanes, to add in a bike lane, whatever. And all of those things probably do a lot more for traffic calming and for sending the message to people, hey, you're in our community now. This is where people live and work and play, and hopefully they will slow down. So I do think that personally, I would rather see us and future councils put money into concrete traffic calming. We've got the studies, and even the ones that go back years, those spaces really haven't changed. And there's a lot that we could do with that information. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that, Councillor Beal, but recognizing that the cost is factor, it always is a factor, but many suggestions were made as well for the PDBA and so forth, perhaps part of that levy that the PDBA receives for the BIA could be used to help assist those businesses for the costs incurred in a name change. It certainly, in my opinion, would benefit their business anyways, because I really believe that they're going to get more traffic and more success, I would think. And the other thing is that there's also, when you talking about a vision to creating a downtown village-like core, there's other grant opportunities available. One that comes to mind right away is ICE-T, Islands Economic Trust. And so I think that they would be a big player in that as well, because it plays exactly to what they're doing. And we have received a benefit from ICE-T in the past with our downtown or our outdoor stage, which was much appreciated. We would have been putting the tap on ICE-T, our friends there, but as a possibility for funding. So the costs could be mitigated somewhat by those organizations that actually assist with that type of thing. So I'm just saying that there is other factors to in the overall package, as you mentioned, for traffic calming, which I agree 100%. Any further comments? All those in favor? Thank you. That carries unanimous. The next report on the agenda is from the Manager of Utilities, an update on the Water Use Planning and Management Study Phase 1 to provide council with KWL's final report for Phase 1 of the Water Use Planning and Management Study and seek direction for Phase 2 timing and scope of work. With us today, we have Kyle. Thank you so much, Kyle, for joining us today. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for having me and councilors. So our Water Use Planning and Management Study Phase 1. The staff report is to provide council with KWL's final report for Phase 1 of the Water Use Planning and Management Study and obtain council direction for Phase 2 timing and scope of work. So an executive summary. This report was presented as long-range planning document to guide future decisions on reliability, demand management, infrastructure investment, and environmental stewardship. This does not commit council to specific projects, costs, or timelines. It just outlines primary constraints identified as environmental flow needs, climate-driven hydrological change, and long-term growth. Water supply remains stable under current operations, coordinated demand management, and phased investments are emphasized. And for Phase 2, staff are seeking direction for timing and scope of work. Recommendations from staff. We recommend that you receive my staff report, that KWL's Phase 1 report be accepted, provide direction for Phase 2 priorities and timing outlined in attachment number 1, and direct staff to obtain a consultant quote and confirm whether the remaining Phase 2 budget is sufficient. So KWL, Kerwood Lydell Consulting, was selected in 2024 to complete a study supporting long-term water security for Parksville and then the Neuse Bay Peninsula Water Service Area. It assessed potable water sources, future capacity needs, storage feasibility, conservation measures, and hydropower generation options. Our system relies on surface water from the Englishman River and groundwater from our local aquifer through partnerships with ERWS and AWS. However, recurring summer restrictions, declining summer base flows growth, and climate change drove the need for the study. I present three options to you. Receive KWL's report for information. Receive KWL's report and confirm scope of work for phase 2. To confirm budget allocations for phase 2 of the project, or provide staff with alternate direction. The water use planning and management study, technical robust planning document based on historical data, climate modeling, demand forecasting, and regulatory requirements. We currently have enough water for drinking water and for fire protection needs within the OCP horizon, but future options are needed for the long term. The dominant constraint of surface water availability is EFN requirements in the river. Our groundwater diversion rates are currently stable. However, they could be increased with some optimization. We know climate change is a reality, and we're expecting to increase seasonal demand while reducing summer surface water availability. However, we know that demand management can be implemented, which would reduce peak demand, defer capital upgrades, and improve resilience of our system. There are some key recommendations outlined in the report, where 5 surface water storage options were identified, and staff are recommending 4 for further investigation. Staff support further analysis of Arrowsmith Dam improvements, and however, we recommend eliminating Moriarty Creek from phase 2 research. We would like to the report outlines investigating our current aquifer performance and possible ways to optimize it, as well as looking into other aquifers such as 221, 1252, and an unmapped gravel and sand aquifer to the south. KWL states that construction of a fully man-made storage on the side stream is not economically feasible due to water volumes and land area required. However, if council would like to explore this option further, it can be assessed immediately or included in the phase 2 scope for further assessment. And in regards to demand management and conservation, KWL's outlined a few options that are to be assessed: rate reform, AMI, water loss control, outdoor water use measures, municipal irrigation efficiency, ICI design, and education. Some implications. Water use planning and management, it directly supports sustainable water management and long-term supply resilience. In regards to climate change adaptation, it provides a technical basis for adapting supply and demand strategies. It supports communication with residents and businesses about conservation restrictions and long-term water scarcity. It reinforces collaboration with the RDN, provincial agencies, and regulatory partners. And phase 1 and 2 results are expected to inform the 2027-28 official community plan review. Council allocated $750,000 from the Growing Communities Fund, and ERS contributed an additional $125,000 for a total project budget of $875,000. We have $431,200 remaining to be spent for this project this year. We don't yet know whether the remaining funds are sufficient for all phase 2 analyses. And we recommend confirming priority tasks with council and obtaining a quote before proceeding any further. Implementation costs for future recommendations are not yet included in the current financial plan and would require future council direction. Oops, sorry. Long-range improvements are needed in regards to asset management and expected for the water treatment plant, high lift pump station, raw water pump station, transmission mains, and municipal irrigation assets. And this report is intended to inform the official community plan review and the city's water use planning and management priority area. The attachment number 1 includes a proposed phase 2 scope of work, subject to council direction. It's recommended we complete a multi-criteria analysis and preferred water supply option selection for 4 surface water storage options and groundwater optimizing and new supply feasibility, side stream storage feasibility. KWL has indicated further analysis of this option is an additional about $20,000 if all other phase 1 tasks are prioritized. However, this final cost can be assessed in the context of the overall budget for phase 2, as we don't anticipate all tasks being pursued. Phase 2 will review and recommend further actions in regards to water supply capacity and expansion planning. Phase 2 will refine these costs for council decision support. In terms of demand management and conservation strategy implementation, we would like to recommend completing a multi-criteria option analysis on these demand measures and reduction options as well. And in regards to regulatory permitting and Indigenous engagement, future land-based storage options will require a coordinated multi-jurisdictional approach and long-term planning in regards to this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kyle. I just have a question regarding on your comments on number 3 regarding the side stream storage feasibility. You're saying KWL notes in phase 1 the construction of fully man-made storage is not considered to be economically feasible due to the water volumes and land area required. Well, then why would we even consider going to look at side stream storage feasibility if right out of the blocks KWL says it's not going to be feasible anyhow? Well, it's a contradiction. It's saying that, well, we want them to study it anyways, even though they say it's not. I'm not sure how that could be. Yeah.
Thank you for your question, Mr. Mayor. Just presenting an option for you if you'd like to, if council would like to investigate that further. KWL has completed a scope of work. They don't think it's possible, but they're willing and able to invest more time into it and come up with some alternate options that aren't necessarily popping out at them right away.
It's well known. I was the one that got this whole water study going in the first place. It's because of my previous engagement, on council and so forth with the different water groups. We were hoping for an innovation solution-based report to create opportunities for water storage, more water. And it became very evident very quickly that the best method would be without affecting aquifers in the area and impacting other people's water usage in our surrounding areas and the regional districts and so forth. The best was to use nature's best remedy, which was the rain that we received, everything. So I'm just spelling it out exactly how it came to me. The rain that we have that comes down the Englishman River, we wanted a method of capturing that. At first we talked to KWL and I spoke to them personally on it. And I said, like whether that is up in the highlands and so forth, whether it's midway down or whether it's closer to our treatment plant. That's what I hoped would be considered. And the reason being is that water is free. The water is plentiful. We store it in the wintertime and we save it for the summertime. And we don't have to use run of river, which is the problem, of course, because as we all know, the Arrowsmith Dam provides habitat water that we maintain. We are forced by a PRR to maintain that. So if we avoid the run of river, if we actually have storage reservoirs that have that excess water in it, then we do have the benefit of without impacting the rest of our neighboring communities, which is a win-win. And plus all that water is just being wasted because it just goes down Englishman River and out to the ocean every December, January, and February. And so that's what we were looking for right from the very start. And I don't see that, other than I see a very quick little solution about a 3-meter deep pond. I could dig that with my shovel in my backyard. 3 meters is like, sorry, I'm an old guy, but that's like 12 feet. You know, I built a swimming pool in my backyard and I dug it by hand. Like 12 feet where we were proposing in the industrial park adjacent to our works yard. It's sand and gravel. You could dig forever for probably 2 or 3 and never get to the bottom. So I don't understand the immediate implication. It's 3-meter deep. So it's going to take, I love this, 1,920 Olympic-sized swimming pools, you know, to get the water you need. How much water we need, Kyle? I'm sorry, I'm not picking on you here. I'm just suggesting that there was a conclusion made here, and I'm really questioning the data that was provided in all the other reports was accurate. How much water are we suggesting we should have in storage? That's what I want to know. You're right. So I want to know, how can we get that in the most efficient way, considering the land that we have, or land that could be acquired and so forth, and build a reservoir, build it deep, build it close to our operations plant, and use it there, side stream storage. And there we go. Gravity works for me. I haven't seen that report. I haven't seen anything like that. And that was really the whole thing to begin with, that I presented to council, 3 councils before I was even elected. And so this is what I was hoping to see. I don't see this here. And so I'm disappointed, to say the least. And so are many other people, the water watchers in our community, because we've been fighting for this for a long time. So you're saying that there's $430,000 left, roughly?
Yes, that's correct for phase 2.
Well, anyways, if I suggested, like I would recommend, like pursuing the option of look at side stream storage feasibility, I would like some parameters on that. Like, let's get creative here and let's see what we can do. It's done in other areas of Canada. We're not unique here. You know, this is it's not a big item. It's creating storage, and we have water. We don't have to drill for it. We don't have to take it out of the river, out of habitat. So that's what you're asking for, a recommendation at this point for us to consider, like giving a harder look at side stream storage. I'm not sure. CEO Kaler, go ahead.
Thanks. Just because Kyle inherited this file and he was there when we met with KWL on this particular item, but staff are just looking for direction from council on all of the items. So we're not married to any of them, or you can suggest none of them and we can retain the 431,000 for another project. But we spoke with KWL specifically because there was some sense that that particular item might want to be expedited. And it might take some time for council to figure out all of the phase 2 priorities. And so KWL indicated that if we wanted kind of what you're saying, like further study on location, the costs, and doing more of an in-depth analysis, they could do that, and we could pull it out of the 431 remaining. And they believe the scope of that would be about a $20,000 cost. So if council wanted to initiate that immediately, that's what we could do. And if not, we can discuss, if there's only half of the items that council wants to pursue, then you would assume the 431,000 remaining would cover all of that. So we're really just looking for council to receive the KWL report today. And we did mention in the options that if council wanted to wait some time, read the 300-page attachment that with appendices. We've also had some discussions about future committee of the whole or future council meeting to get that direction, but it's not staff saying that that's feasible or not feasible. It's the experts that, based on their preliminary phase 1, they didn't believe that it was economically feasible. And that's only maybe one aspect. There's other things. So I just don't want people to misunderstand that this is a recommendation from staff. These are summaries of the recommendations from the phase 1 report.
Right. Okay. So that gives me clarity. So we still have money available anyways that we could pull this out if council decided to. I thank you for the clarification. And I agree that this is probably not the time to take priorities for staff, because I think it'll be done better in a committee of the whole. quite frankly. That's how we can operate better. We can ask all the questions that we need to ask. So seeing that, I definitely like that idea. Okay, thank you. Councillor Gore, you had your hand up first and then Councillor Wood.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I like the idea, Mayor. Personally, I think this needs to be discussed in a committee of the whole. And if staff needs direction, I would like KWL to be present so we can directly ask those questions that we have rather than putting staff in a kind of precarious situation, some technical expert questions on certain things. I do have a question in terms of the report talks about resiliency. Kyle, as you probably get 1,000 emails, do we have enough water? Right? So the big question is, when the report says we have a deficit, 2.2 million cubic meters, our reliability is at 67% for the source of water that we have, the surface and the groundwater. And the provincial guidelines are to say have 97%. And in conclusion, I see that the report says we have enough water for indoor use, fire suppression, and for the OCP build out. Correct. When I see the OCP build out and the current growth projections, that to me, my rough math says for the next 30 years is when we will meet the 25,000 people, which the OCP envisions. So for the next 30 years, we will have enough water for primarily domestic use and fire suppression. However, Parksville may be the only community in BC to be on stage for water restrictions for extended periods of time, year after year. And that's why our reliability is so low than what's required for the 97%. My question is going back to the report and the cost. We spent $442,800 on this report, phase one. I think that's the rough math. It's a lot of compilation of information that was already there. Looks like we've spent a lot of money for the information that we already had. Is there any new information that we did not have that I can justify if people ask me, what did we spend close to $500,000 on all this information? Is there maybe staff found some new information that I could not make it through the 300 pages, but please let me know if there's anything new that we found out.
Mr. Mayor, oh, sorry, can I just begin because Kyle is.
Yes, go ahead. Taylor, go ahead. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One of the things I think that we discussed with council prior to Kyle's arrival on the scope of this project was exactly kind of what you were mentioning, Councillor Gore, about myth busting some of the things that are out there, that we don't have enough water or that we don't have robust resilience. We don't, know what our population numbers are, those kinds of things. So this report was intended in a large part for phase one to provide all of the information in one place, build on all of the studies that the RDN have been doing and others as well, and then update information on the assumptions for climate change and population that were put in place when the dam was first commissioned in the late 1990s. I do believe there has been a lot of value in that, and I've had discussions with people who I think didn't either know where to find that information or just don't believe when staff provide the information. They prefer to see it from a third party. So there is a lot of time and effort that went into that. It also does cost several $1,000s to have them attend. So if council does want to have them come to the committee of the whole, we can certainly arrange that, but that will eat into the remaining budget. So just an FYI, every time we have them come, it's a couple $1,000s with a change order. Just because of the expertise there. So we can certainly have that arranged though. But the other piece of it was identifying that longer range. Like we do already have capital plans and we do already talk with council about, we have to twin the plant eventually. We're kind of growing the infrastructure with the community as the community grows. And so I think there's from talking with our partners at the town and this regional district, there's definitely value in putting it all together in one place and addressing those misunderstandings or assumptions about what may or may not be sustainable for our current population. So there is a lot of that information. Also, I think what has been new to us around the table, at the management table for ERWS and AWS, is that there's a lot of capacity in the well system. We're about 33% below our licensed amount. I did not know that, and I don't know that it's very difficult to get that information without having the in-depth hydrological studies that we paid for in this first phase. So I would say around the table, that's been, you know, discussed as being beneficial. And I think it is really, we need council direction on the timing and the details for phase 2, because there's a little bit chicken and egg. Like if we're going to do the OCP process, you know, which goes first? Like, do you want people to know that there's options out there and that in 30 years you're going to need a new dam? Or do you want to wait and see what the population configuration looks like? Because if the next OCP says no, everything needs to be multifamily, no new single family or something like that, which we can't necessarily legally do, but if there's a desire for that, that will change how long we can go. And so some of the other information that was very useful in this report that I again hear from the experts in our government setting is how much usage a different type of housing requires. So when they presented to council, they showed that difference around a single family home with irrigation versus an apartment. So all of those things will help us already in the OCP discussions. But I think understanding how you should develop and where you can develop is going to be really helpful for our first discussions in the OCP process. And I think we had envisioned phase 2 and the OCP going somewhat parallel. But if council wished to wait for one or the other, then I think we need direction on that timing as well. So maybe there's 1 or 2 items that you want to prioritize for tying in with the OCP, and then others would happen afterwards. So we really need confirmation on where your mindset is on that.
Yes, but following on Councillor Gore's comments here anyways, I was led to believe, and I was hoping to receive in this report, like a very robust statement advising that the city of Parksville has sufficient water for our very robust building development plans that are happening right now in our city. I see the statement here, and I think this is what Councillor Gore referred to as well. The city currently has sufficient water to meet community drinking water and fire protection demand, along with projected growth envisioned in the 2013 OCP. As Councillor Gore says, is going to carry us right through to that. I think that should be the big headline here, if that is exactly what we're saying. We have sufficient water. We don't need to stop growth. We don't need to stymie growth or limit growth of property owners developing their property because we have sufficient water. That's what we need to say here, because as Councillor Gore says, you know, like the mixed messaging that's out there is constantly on. It's like, why would you even be building more when you have so many different restrictions already in place, the phase 4. So I would like that to spell a little bit more clearly, because not everybody is familiar with 2013 OCP, what that means. I think we need to get that message out there first. Councillor Gore, I'm going to go to Councillor Wood right now, because as a first time speaker. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. Just to tell you where I'm at, I feel like we should receive, so recommendations number 1 and 2, and I would like to defer 3 and 4 to the next council meeting, and that gives council time to chat with staff and kind of digest this long and expensive report. I think that kind of does it the best justice, whether or not the consultants can physically be here, you know, for the next council meeting. Whether or not we want to spend that money, maybe they could be Zoom in, or maybe we could email them questions between now and then or something like that. But that's just kind of where I'm at right now, is to receive and then defer 3 and 4 until the next council meeting.
And thank you for that, Councillor Wood. I agree 100% on that, but I just want to have a little bit of some input from our council sitting at the table here today, so that we have a little more understanding of what that committee of the whole should look like. And I agree with that 100%. So I'm going to go back to as a follow-up to Councillor Gore. I cut you off midstream. I apologize.
No, thank you, Mayor. I do see, I think, some value in the information that I was reading specifically about water conservation measures that we can adopt. And it talks about leadership example, how we as a city can do better on our properties when we're putting our community on stage 4, stage 3, and we water our infrastructure that's needed. I get that, but I think there's some recommendations. There's a lot of things that we can learn from this report in terms of water conservation. But I want to go back to the question, having enough water. I think, Mayor, the question that the community has is that not that do we have enough water for domestic use or fire suppression. The question that keeps going on and around is the reliability of our water source, meaning we have to be on stage 4 because we do not have enough water source to provide us the water. So we don't have to go into stage 4. So definitely into the committee of the whole, my recommendation would be that we look at additional source, not saying that for the next 30 years we can stay on stage 4 for 6 to 7 months of the year because we have enough for domestic use. I think that impacts the quality of life of our residents. It affects just the beauty, trees and people's gardens and everything that needs that outdoor water use. Our resorts, all the tourists that come to Parksville. So that's definitely has to be in the scope, in my opinion, for the phase 2. I would even recommend and suggest to council that rather than the next council meeting, perhaps the July 20th, the one after, that gives us enough time to have the committee of the whole kind of hashed out what we'd like to see. And my suggestion is, whatever the cost is, we need to have the experts in the room before we make all these long-term decisions on how we're going to get the water for our community for the next 50 years or so. That's important.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Councilor Martin, you had your hand up or not? No, oh, no, sorry, okay.
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just, I've been through this in Victoria and I've said this before, that there's always a solution and we just have to bite the bullet and pay for it. In Victoria, we couldn't have water. We didn't have water. And the decision was made at that time to increase the reservoir extensively, and they have more water than they'll ever need now. And Victoria's grown in the last 20, 30 years. So there's always solutions. We just have to figure it out. And I'm supportive. I voted for this, like you're saying, we wanted this report. We just have to go to the next level. One thing I wondered about is the Growing Communities Fund. Is there a time on that Growing Communities Fund? Are we limited when we can use the rest of it, or is it there?
If I may, we have until 2028 to expend that fund.
Okay, good. That's what I was concerned about, how we're going to use this, and we've got to use it properly. Yeah. Okay, thank you. I support the
Councilor Fratz, go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Through the mayor to council. I agree with just receiving the report today and having a chance to discuss things further, because it definitely leaves me with a lot of questions here. I see things like staff making recommendations about the current dam, competing against what this report's going against. So that thing I think we need to look at as well. To me, one of the concerns we're talking about 2013 OCP, our current projections in line with what happened over 10 years ago and what they were projecting then. So those have to be in line. There's things like, looking through report, Healy Lake is mentioned in here, but then it kind of, what happens at Healy Lake? With Shelton Lake too, those things sound like they were, technical, not priorities, but the most available for us years back. Why are they not on the surface as was one of the top priorities here now? I agree with the mayor though too about the water storage, service storage. They provide one option there, but we've kind of explored a little bit more, but we're wanting some concrete, really take a look at it and see, there's got to be some ideas here that can work. And I think we need to explore it a lot more. I definitely wouldn't be comfortable saying, go ahead with phase 2 right now, and here's the money and just go at it with these recommendations. I don't think we've hashed it out enough. And like I say, I think there's still more questions for me than answers at this point. So definitely a big report, but I don't know if they've really captured what we were after out of this. So, and like I say, as far as the chicken and egg thing, I think we need to have the OCP review done prior to knowing exactly what numbers and what direction we're going for bringing the water solution forward. I don't know what the answer is at this point. So I think a committee of the whole would be a good thing.
Right. And
Can I raise
agree.
a point of order? Can I raise a point of order here? I'm
Okay.
just I'm losing the plot here on what we're doing right now. Are we asking questions of staff right now, or is someone moved a motion we're discussing?
We're trying to get the temperature of the room, Councillor Grants, to understand whether we have to just do the first two to receive, and what the recommendation is going to be to staff to set up a meeting with KWL perhaps. And I think that that's what we're trying to do at this particular time, to provide staff wanted direction from council, and we're trying to determine that direction now. It shouldn't actually be done in a committee of the whole, but I'm allowing.
This is
some
sounding to me
latitude
like a committee of the whole right now, actually. So I think we should get a motion on the floor.
We
so
do
can
have a
actually
motion,
discuss.
don't we have a motion on the floor right now?
We have no motion on the floor. Councillor Wood tried was suggesting a motion.
Right, okay, so I suggest that we, okay? Yes, okay, so I don't have any further questions, just other than the fact that, Kyle, would it be possible for us to have a committee of the whole with KWL in the room to actually look at this and give us enough time so we can actually review it before that time? Would that work for yourselves? Could we set that up?
Definitely.
Okay, thank you. I think that has merit. Councillor Beal, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And yes, with the, when I read this over, the recommendation or suggestion was that one might receive, and then perhaps we'd need more time. And that's certainly what I would like to do. I do have a question of staff. Is it possible to have that follow-up discussion and get more answers July 20th, or does it have to be prior to that? Because I would certainly favor that additional time to spend more time with the various documents if possible.
If I might weigh in there.
Yeah, CAO Taylor, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so we can definitely reach out to see the availability of the KWL folks for the 20th of July. We could also have a standalone committee of the whole if council prefers. So maybe I'll suggest that be considered. So we don't have a motion on the floor, but we've heard that there might be someone wanting to make a motion for items 1 and 2. And then perhaps the third item that could be moved would be for staff to explore the availability of KWL for a July 20th committee. And if that doesn't work, we'll pull council for an alternative date. And I assume Mondays are preferred for all of you for your schedule. So we'll look for another Monday if the 20th doesn't work for the consultants.
I can move those 3 recommendations.
Yeah, CAO Taylor, if July 20th, like I'm thinking the consultants too, we got to consider their schedule as well. I realize we go into August break. It could go into September as well. We have 2 meetings in September as well.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can, but I think what we would do is aim for the 20th. And then if the consultants are not available for whatever reason, we'll poll council for an alternative date. And then at the 20th meeting, you can advise the public when that alternative date is, if it's not going to be the 20th of July. So if we go with that as the preferred, we'll be able to report back to council through the minutes and let you know on the 6th whether it's happening on the 20th.
That's great. Councillor Gore is moving that. I'm seconding that.
I did have a question for staff as well, though.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. We have the motions on.
But
the
I can
floor.
ask it. I can ask it when we move after the
Yeah, go
motions
ahead.
too. But I want to.
Yeah. Go ahead, Councillor Gore. Grant.
Okay. Did we move the motion or yeah? Okay.
It's moved and seconded. CAO Keller, that's on, but you may ask your question at this time.
Okay, great. Yeah, I have a meta question actually for Kyle through the mayor. To what extent do you feel comfortable, or does staff feel comfortable answering questions about the KWL report? Or would you feel more comfortable having KWL actually present here? Because I do have a lot of questions that I'd ask either now or then.
Yeah, I would feel comfortable answering general questions, but if we want to get down to specifics, flow rates, environmental constraints that aren't specifically in my purview, KWL would be great to have there to ask as well.
Okay. I mean, I could ask maybe some teaser questions to see where to see how comfortable you are with them. If I may, maybe I'll like one big question I have is.
Go ahead, Councillor Grams. Yes. Go
yeah,
ahead and
thank you.
ask your question now. Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, one big question I have that I think really would help me understand the current state of the Englishman River water source is, and the provisional operating rule is the intake location is upstream, or sorry, downstream of the intake location is upstream of the measurement.
Yeah.
And so we're basically measuring water after the water's been taken for the community. Was there ever discussion around or actually movement towards moving where the water is measured now that we have the new intake?
Or it used to be. It used to be there, the intake.
Yes, through the mayor. Thank you for your question. I have not explored that option. I just know that when working with the province as we requested the flow reduction rate in the river at that gauge, we definitely considered full build out of the river intake withdrawal from the river, so that it already incorporates the outflows for our needs. It incorporates that. So they've considered what the environmental flow needs are for the whole river between the water treatment plant intake and the dam, 25 kilometers, and between the intake and the gauge, which is about 1 kilometer. So it's all been assessed and addressed, and they've allowed us the 1 cubic meter per second at that gauge for this year.
Also, CAO Kaler can comment further. Go ahead, CAO Kaler.
Yeah, thank you. Just again, with the benefit of having been here longer than Kyle, that has been discussed as my understanding, and we can certainly confirm with KWL, but I think the intent of the gauge being where it is that it reflects the after use reserved water. So the EFN, or the environmental flow, is, as KWL showed, is basically 80% of that flow is for the bolstering of the flow for the fish. The city's draw is minimal, like single percent. I think it was maybe 8% maximum of the flow going by. And so I think the intent is that the gauge be where it is, because that's where the fish need it the most, I guess. But I know that there's been a lot of discussion over time around the location of the intake, but the amount of water the city is drawing is minimal. And that was shown in the graphs that the KWL report was when they came in the early spring. So I think that's but by design, and the gauge is not the city's, it's the senior level of government's gauge. We just benefit from knowing what the numbers are. So I don't think there's any intent of them to move it based on our intake moving.
Yeah, because if I may, with a follow-up then
Go
on
ahead.
that, and I don't know actually how much we want to get into this today. I guess that was my sample question. But the environmental flow needs are not 1.6 meters cubed per second, as I understand it. They're as part of the water license, they're more around 0.9 cubic meters per second. So if we're measuring, if the amount of water that's being set aside for environmental flow needs is being measured after the water's been removed, then the combined number of human use and fish use would the human use is already taken out. It's already been taken out, so we don't need to measure it again. So that's why either the number needs to be reduced as part of the POR, which I believe is underway, or it should be measured before the water is taken for human use, because that's what the license seems to indicate.
Yeah, so that we are getting kind of into the weeds that probably we could defer, but my understanding is it's 0.7 cubic meters is what's needed for fish. But back when the initial license was granted, it was a somewhat, I guess, I don't know where they arrived at the number, but they picked 1.6. And we do have approval to go to 1 meter cubic meter per second right now for this operating season.
Gonna call.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I don't need to get into the weeds on it, but
Okay.
yeah.
Getting into the weeds. Yeah. Great. Okay. Are we good, Councillor Grants?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I was wanting to ask questions of staff. I'm happy to discuss this if council's looking to discuss it today, but if we're going to be able to ask questions of staff at a future meeting, then I'm fine with moving this motion now.
Thank you. Okay, we have recommendations for 1, 2, and 3. Does anybody need further explanation on what number 3 was? Yes.
Sorry if I may.
CEO Taylor, I'll put you on the spot. There you
Yes,
go.
so we have items 1 and 2 per the agenda, which is to receive the staff report and the KWL report. And then item 3 is a new item, not number 3 from the agenda, to defer items 3 and 4 to a future committee of the whole targeted for July 20th with KWL invited to be present. And we will have to adjust the budget to reflect that. And if the 20th doesn't work, we will poll council to seek an alternative date. That probably won't be in the motion, but that's just the practice we will follow if the 20th doesn't work.
That's right. So that.
And that has been moved and seconded by Councillor Gore and Mayor O'Brien.
Thank you. Any further discussion? I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. That carries unanimous. Thank you. Good discussion. Thanks, Kyle. Sorry for putting you through that. It's a big subject. Yeah. And thank you. You did well.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah. Thanks, Kyle. Move up. We have the manager finance regarding the transfers from unrestricted surplus to reserves to recommend transfers from 2025 unrestricted surplus to reserves. So I move a seconder for the recommendation as noted, please. Moved by Councillor Gore, seconded by Councillor Wood. Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. Carries unanimous. The next report on the agenda is from the manager of finance, the 2025 statement of financial information, as we kindly call Sophie. The public reporting of financial information in accordance with the Financial Information Act and associated regulations. Do I have a mover and seconder for the recommendation? Moved by Councillor Frass, seconded by Councillor Martin. Before I call the question, I had a question for staff. Oh, sorry, Jed is right here. If I can comment, very good information. So Marley, okay. So this is a question for finance. Okay, Marley or Jetta. This is the Sophie report for this for 2025 for this term, which has all the great information about all the really cool stuff like all of our expenses and so forth, which is great. I had a question from a member of the public that said, is the Sophie information available for 2024 and 2023? Is that available online? The question to me was, how do we know what your expenses were for your terms that you've been in office for your 4-year term? Well, they won't know the 4th year because we're not done that yet. The question is, Marley, do we have on our database, on our site and so forth, is the Sophie reports for 2024 and 2023 available online?
The answer is yes.
Is it
Going back to, I'm just looking at the folder here. Yeah, 2010.
sorry,
All the way back to 2010
Oh,
is
yeah.
available on our website.
just, I know they're watching right now. Just a quick lead in on where they look for that on the website, just quickly.
Sure, let me go back a
Yeah.
space here. It's under, looks like it's under the reports tab.
Okay,
I actually Googled it. I just did Parksville Sophie and it took me right to
nice.
the link to the statements of financial information.
Okay, that information is available. So the answer to whoever that individual is that's listening, that's where it's at. Thank you so much. Any other questions or comments regarding the Sophie? All those in favor? That's great. Carries unanimous. Great. The next report on the agenda is from the CAO regarding the 2025 annual municipal report. The community charter requires municipalities to prepare an annual report regarding financial and operational progress in relation to objectives and measures established for that year. The 2025 annual report has been prepared and made available for the public inspection. Do I have a mover or a seconder for the recommendations? Moved by Councillor, oh, it says a head scratcher. I'll take that as moved by Councillor Beal and seconded by Councillor Martin. Any further comments? All those in favor? Thank you. Carries unanimous. Okay, we have up for 3 readings under bylaws, the business license amendment bylaw 2026-1550.3 for the site-specific amendment to facilitate cannabis retail shop relocation. Do I move it or seconder for the recommendation, please? Moved by Councillor Gore, seconded by Councillor Wood. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Carries unanimous. Thank you. Any notices of motion at this time? Seeing none, I'm going to move on to liaison reports. Councillor Martin, you're up first, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, the Parksville Downtown Business Association, you may have noticed it in the newspaper, but they received the Best in West Award from BBIBC. It's quite exciting. It's with regards to the Imagine, Build, Thrive Economic Diversification Strategy, which is for the arts, culture, and heritage plan. It was a team effort with the leadership of Teresa Cooper, but it was a team effort for sure. And for that award to be done for British Columbia is really significant. So we can be proud of that. And the other thing that has been happening, I mean, there was with the PDBA, they had the yesterday I was there at it was the Food Trucks Festival. There was 25 food trucks there. And so a lot of people were able to try different things. And there'll be a discussion as to the result of that. So that was significant. Also, they have picnics on the plaza every Tuesday. And I wanted to know the time of that, but I didn't have the time. It's with the Craig Street Market then. That sounds like a really good idea. So that's what's happening with the PDBA. The Parksville Museum, yesterday was Sunday, the second Sunday of every month. They have all the artisans bring their things. They've had a lot of response with this. And I noticed yesterday there was a lot of cars there. So this is the second Sunday of every month. They're open from 11 to 5 now. So that would be, longer hours. They also have been having, and it's still going on, you can go on the website, Storytellers Festival until the end of June. And also, just so you know, for the month of July, they have every Thursday night a music. There's 5 of them. And those events they're still on the website, but I noticed there's country rock, there's Afro jazz. So it's from 6 to 8. It'll be a fabulous thing. They've been doing these events, as you know, and they've been over the years, and they've really been well received. The board is the museum board is significant, as you know, but there's a real good music crowd there, like on the board. There's about 4 or 5 of them that meet regularly and they get all the right music and everything. So it's very specialized and they really enjoy it. So all the details are on the website. I also wanted to mention another report. I've been quite busy the last few weeks, I'll tell you. The FCM, I had the privilege of representing Parksville at the Federation of Community Municipalities. It was quite a conference. I'd never really knew much about FCM other than the bulletins that we get. And the organization, I just put a little report here, but I'll just read one paragraph here. 125th anniversary for this organization. They've been around a long time. There was over 1,800 elected people, but 3,000 attended. It was like a very big convention in Edmonton. The theme was building the future together, and it was, the focus was with the provinces to be doing more trade. And that was a big focus. And so CN Rail actually, oh, I got this. CN Rail was the official sponsors. And they're giving $100 million, $100 million to homelessness in Canada. And that is a huge thing. And so I grabbed one of these things. I thought I'd take it home for my husband. And then I said, maybe I could use it today. Anyway, I thought that the theme of the conference with CN Rail taking on that was huge. And I was just thrilled. So I asked them about Vancouver Island because we don't have CN Rail here. Oh, yes, it's for all of Canada. So I've really told some of these different associations already that it's available, and they can go on the website and go for it, because they were really front and center in the whole convention. And so I was very pleased. So that's my report. Any more questions about anything?
Well, that's a great hat you got. That's all I could say. You know, it looks
I
good
knew
on
that
you.
my husband would like it. It looks so funny.
No, he doesn't get to. Okay, Councillor Beal, go ahead.
Thank you. And thank you, Councillor Martin, for the report. And thank you for that bit of information about about CN Rail, because I had read that and I thought, oh, but darn, we didn't have CN Rail here. So if there's an opportunity for some organizations to access that. Yeah, I thought it was very interesting actually reading about it, because apparently along the rail lines, they are seeing more and more signs of people, unhoused individuals who are camped along the side. I mean, makes one think about going back to the 30s or something like that. But so they put up this money. So thanks for that.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Martin. Thank you. Councillor Beal, you're next.
Thank you very much. I would like to report, while Councillor Martin was away, I did attend the Mount Arrowsmith Biosphere Region meeting roundtable on her behalf and on our behalf. And I do have a couple of things to report. One thing is that for those who may have visited or do like to visit the Little House in Qualicum Beach on the whatever road that is, sorry, the Little Yellow House, that is now open on Saturdays as well, which is great timing, because every Saturday one can do free iNaturalist learning sessions. So, and that ties in very well with the 10th annual BioBlitz, which is taking place between June 26th to the 28th. So this is a 3-day community science event. And as I said, there's free training on the Saturdays at the Little House. So a great opportunity for all ages, families, and come and learn about how to make those observations, collect those observations, and share those observations. And that helps to deepen our understanding of the biodiversity that we have in this region. And a big event coming up is September from the 14th to the 18th, which is unfortunately during the same time as UBCM for anyone who's attending UBCM. But this September, Mabry will host EuroMab 2026 in Parksville. So this will bring together representatives from more than 300 biosphere regions across 53 countries in North America and in Europe. To share strategies on sustainability, biodiversity, and community development. There will be, I understand that there will be some activities or some events, perhaps particularly the opening and maybe the closing, that will be open to a larger community. I'm sure that more details will come out. The theme is Interwoven Futures, co-creating sustainability with nature and community. So I think that's really quite fantastic that our biosphere is actually the sponsor, and that will be taking place right here in Parksville.
Thank you for that, Councillor Beal. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr.
Martin.
Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Beal, for taking that responsibility on. The office, a Little Yellow House, is on 2nd in Qualicum, and it's very, very much, it's a lot going on there. And this event I knew about, and I'm glad to hear more details, and it will be excellent for the community. Yeah, thank you.
Any other liaison reports not on the agenda? Go ahead now if you wish. Go ahead, Councillor Grens.
Sure, I may do a couple quick ones here. First off, maybe I'll do a quick report from the fact that I'm not in council today. I'm actually in Davos, Switzerland for the World Biodiversity Forum. It started yesterday and it's been very interesting so far. Today was a keynote and lots of intersection between preserving biodiversity, enhancing biodiversity, and policy and science. And there are people from all over the world here to learn from. So it's very interesting. I got to tag along with my wife, who is presenting, but also am attending as an attendee, so attending workshops and all that. So yeah, I'll report back maybe if there's anything interesting that comes up specifically.
And just for clarity, we could report that this is not on the taxpayer's dime. That, you know,
Yes.
this
Yeah.
is not going to be on
Yeah.
your Sophie report for next year.
Yeah, exactly. Not on the
Okay.
Sophie report.
So to be clear, well, thank you for attending on somebody else's time. We'll look forward to talking to you when you get back. Anyways,
Yeah, for
carry
sure.
on.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
good clarification. I am taking this through the lens of local government as well. So it's been very interesting from that, to look through that perspective at the conversations happening here. And because I'm away, I was unable to attend. So a liaison quick report for the Parksville Community Center Society is I was unable to attend the event this past weekend that was honoring the late Dwayne Round by naming a room in the Parksville Community Center there after him. And I understand it was very well attended. And it's great to see him honored for all the work that he's done to get that center up and running, and among other things he's done in the community. So that's my mini report.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Grants. Okay, make it quick. We got to go because we've got a guy leaving here. Okay, Mary, go ahead, Councillor Beal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to mention that the OCAC, the Arts Council, has made the decision to postpone or rebook the fundraising event that was going to be taking place on the 20th of this month. It is a really important fundraiser to raise funds to help repair the McMillan Arts Center, which is really in need of some repair. So that will be rebooked to another date sometime in the fall.
Thank you for that. Do I have a mover seconder for the recommendation that pursuant to section 91 E and K of the Community Charter, council proceed to a closed meeting to consider an item relating to the acquisition, disposition, or expropriation of land or improvements, and negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service. I will move in a second, please. Move by Councillor Gore, second by Councillor Wood. All those in favor? Thank you. That passes unanimous. We're going to take a quick break. We have Councillor that needs to leave early, so we will reconvene at